So how hot is too hot? Alright everybody, you guys have seen this bike, but for those unfamiliar, this is my 2005 KLR650. It is a trusty steed, and like all of you guys, I have a little needle temperature gauge on here, and to say it's vague would be a compliment. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, I have a video of installing this TrailTech digital temperature unit here. And today the mission of this video is to compare these two temperatures to see kind of where your needle actually is, to kind of demystify and figure out when this thing is running, you know, too hot. So I'll fire this thing up, we'll get on the road, and I will report back. We'll see where this thing's at. And we are off, and holy crap, this thing feels so weird right now. I just got off my XS650 chopper, so that's beside the point. Oh my god, it's like a bus steering wheel. Now the needle is kind of just moving off of the bottom spot there, off the cold mark, and we're at 150 degrees. And my bike does like to ride kind of right on the middle there. If you haven't seen the previous video of this bike, I just did a carburetor rebuild before I went on a big ride because this thing started acting up. And before I did the carburetor rebuild, what this thing was doing was kind of getting to the middle of the gauge, and then it would almost like turn into a Chernobyl effect, and it would just start climbing and climbing and climbing, and the idle would just be really high and unpredictable. And I attributed that to a lack of fuel on the mixture screw. So while I did my carburetor rebuild, I actually adjusted my mixture out a little bit, and I also shimmed the needle. So what that showed me on that ride I did was that it never kind of had that effect. It stayed in a reasonable temperature range. But more on that as this thing climbs. Now we're sitting here idling right now, but that 200 mark that you just saw, that's kind of right in the middle of the gauge. Now this thing kind of likes to hang out right at that mark, right in the middle, and that's 200 on the gauge. And then if you're kind of in traffic, this thing was seeing maybe up to like about 211, 215, somewhere in there. And that was okay. And we do have our auxiliary fan control. We also have the traditional fan sending unit, so it will kick on at about 204 on this side, and it will bring it back down. But sometimes it just takes a while, so that's why I like to have my auxiliary fan control, keep this thing kind of within a certain range. Now looking over here, this thing on my ride got up to 240 degrees, and that was not for very long, but I was in a situation where I couldn't shut off the bike. I was trying to work my way up a hill, and that was pretty alarming. So you can see now kind of what it's looking like. But yeah, if I try to keep about 220 and lower, it seems fine. But before I did that carburetor adjustment, it would get to about this point, and then the idle would start climbing, and it would just be harder and harder to control, and it would just get warmer and warmer, and you had to keep moving. There was no keeping it, you know, within a range while it was just kind of in traffic. And as soon as we start moving, this thing does start coming back down. We're already down to 204. Tractor. So one of the main reasons that I wanted to kind of put that gauge on there and be able to monitor this thing is because there's a lot of comments online of people asking about temperature and like how hot is too hot. So the same situation that we're in right now, and a lot of comments are like, don't worry about it or just ignore it. And I don't know, man, that's just not really my style. I like to at least know kind of where I'm at. So having a digital gauge on there as kind of a backup is nice insurance. And you know, if it was like, if it gets to the high mark and it's 200 degrees, that's one thing, you know, but I don't know, it really is like whenever it gets to the H, it's hot. Okay, that was about 240 degrees and I don't want to go a single degree higher. So, you know, I am going to worry about it. And I just hope that, I don't know, maybe this gives you an idea of how hot the bike is actually running, because I know I'm not the only one on a KLR who's wondering the same thing. It's a little 50-cent backing plate for the gauge, and it doesn't really give you any solid information, just like a tire pressure monitoring system on a car, or a check engine light for that matter. Man, what useless things. So I've been working on recording this video for a little while now, and here's some other clips I'm going to sprinkle in of just various temperatures that I've been recording at. So I've been sitting here for like 20 seconds just trying to get this idle down, and I have just been backing the idle out and it will not fall down, and it is just climbing in temp. It took me miles to get this thing down below 200. This is one of those things, it's like a lot of people just say, oh, don't worry about it, just ignore it. I don't understand. Like, there is obviously something going on here. It's probably about 85, 90 degrees outside right now. Not uncomfortably hot by any means. Alright, we're at 204. 203. Down at 199. Climbing now, just accelerating out of a turn. Alright, we're kind of up to a stop sign here. See how fast it climbs. So it's 198 right now. 199. 200, 202, 205, 207. Yeah, just immediately, as soon as you slow down, it just starts climbing. That's why this thing is just so hard to maintain. Alright guys, well hopefully this video is a little bit informative and kind of gives you an idea of how hot your bike is actually running and maybe when to worry. So definitely never hurts to have too much information, and I definitely recommend this Trail Tech if it's something that you guys want to monitor. Just a quality product, not sponsored by them or anything like that. I've just installed these on a bunch of bikes and I really like them. They're about 50 bucks. They come with everything you need to install them. So anyway, if you guys are interested in doing that gauge setup, I'll link a video above. Of course, you can see how I did it. And if you haven't seen the carburetor rebuild video, then go ahead and check that out now. I'll also have that linked. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.